guys, Marshall here. You're riding with Marshall today, if we're even riding. This is a first look at the Honda TransAlp, and it's at Interstate Honda. They got two of them in, one is already sold. This is the one that's sold, but we'll take a look at it anyway. And maybe they'll let me ride the other one. We'll see. So, starting from the front, it looks like we've got Metzler Cardo, it says street tires, but those are actually really aggressive tires for what I would say for street. I just leave them on there for most of the adventure riding, unless you really want knobbies. You've got Nissan brakes with 2 cylinders per disc. By the way, that's a 21-inch front tire for those that are insisting on having those 21-inch front tires. We have a radiator. They are water cooled. Upside down forks. You got you have 2 exhaust pipes coming down that are not protected by a pan. Huh, that's interesting. I'm sure it's a weight saving thing. There's the oil filter right up front where the front tire can throw a rock into it, but I'm sure there's an aftermarket solution. Cat converter. Now that cat converter is tiny compared to the one on the Moto Guzzi. Honda can get away with a tiny little one that probably doesn't put out half the heat of my Moto Guzzi. And I admire them for that. If there's the right way to do something, Honda finds it, in my opinion. The engine, parallel twin. I believe it's 750 cc's. I will throw the specs up later. Yeah, it's a Marshall, it's a 750. So as an owner of an NC700, and I've ridden the NC750X, you do get more power and a higher speed from the limited DCT that I have, which limits you at 88. LED front lights. And that looks pretty mean, doesn't it? That's a mean look on a bike. I love the matte black finish. A lot of people don't. Some people like red. I like the third world look, the Mad Max look, and we're halfway there. Oh, what's the shiny silver thing? Could that be a quick shifter? Lo and behold, a stock quick shifter. In the back we have a 150/70 R19, and look at the aggressive tread. You have a function button, a toggle, a ride mode switch, a horn, blinkers, hazard button, bright switch on this side. And on that side, not much else. Simply the kill switch. Very basic. Did you notice anything missing? So it's a ride-by-wire. It has modes. It has, you know, road mode, sport mode, what have you. I'll list those in a second. No cruise control. Once again, I don't think Honda in Japan just realizes how very long our roads are here in the US, and how a cruise control would help with the sale of any bike. Especially when it's already ride-by-wire. What is it, a $5 switch unit and another $5 chip? So just one question for Honda, or I'm just ignorant mechanically. What's that? What's that? Is that an oil reservoir? Because if it is, I think it needs a better shield. So one of the things I'm always complaining about with bikes is that the bars never come up to meet my arms. But here, look at this. they already put risers on. It's like somebody's listening. I mean, this is stock. This is off the showroom floor with what looks like 3-inch risers, maybe 4. Leave it to a guy to overestimate, but it's probably 3-inch risers right there. So this is Zach, and you should see him because he's the sales manager here at Interstate Honda. So he sold this bike. What he's going to do for us though is he's going to rev the engine so you can hear what it sounds like.
Just as spicy as your twins.
Very spicy like a twin. It sounds very similar to that blue thing sitting over there with the LEDs still on. But yeah, it's a good throaty sound. That's a much more satisfying sound than my NC700X.
Yes, very good pickup, very good response on the throttle. I think it'll be the next game changer that Honda should have introduced last year, but good to see this year.
I just noticed something else too. You get a little bit of a luggage rack back here. I'm willing to bet you have a top case solution that can go on the back of that.
There's a multitude of options to get this outfitted for whatever your goal might be for it.
I believe it. All right, well, we should probably give it to the owner.
Yes, I think he's rather excited to take it out for his first ride.
Get off my bike!
Way better, man.
All the way out.
Well, guess what? Interstate Honda, because they love me, is letting me take it out for a spin. So how does the TransAlp 750 compare to an NC750 or an NC700X? It's about the same height as my NC700X. I can almost flat foot it at 5'10½", which is good enough. The NC750 I can flat foot completely. So I don't have my mic on in my helmet, so you're hearing me talk over my helmet. Adjust the mirrors. They have that new bike stiffness to it. So note the gauge. It's very easy to read. My water coolant temperature is 210 degrees. Huh, that's odd. Never seen that before on a bike. We are at 2 miles. 2 miles. Full tank of gas. Gear is in neutral. We're in sport mode, which is where I want it to be. And here we go. Front brake. Quite a bit of dive to the front brake. You kind of want that when you're going over baby heads on a gravel road, but rear brake. Very tight, very good. In the 2 miles that they've ridden it, they've already got that rear brake nice and tight and worn in. Gonna wait for this car up here to pull around. Where's our clutch release? I heard the fan come on to the water-cooled engine because we've been sitting still. I don't know what this car is doing up here. Okay, where's our clutch release going to be at? About midway. Good. Let's do this. So my thoughts on this bike so far. It's very nimble, and you really don't notice the 21-inch tire hindering you from any maneuvers. It steers very well. I prefer a 19-inch tire generally, but I am not shy at all with this 21-inch tire on pavement, in corners or anything else. Yeah, the clutch is as easy as can be. Typical Honda. The clutch lets out about, it engages about halfway through, which is right where I'd have it, which means I don't have to adjust that. The power is different than an NC700 and the NC750X, in my opinion. You have more high rev. Now those other two bikes are typically street bikes, and they're that way to get you the most miles per gallon. The TransAlp, yeah, it wants to rev even higher. In fact, we're gonna go take it on the interstate so I can bring it back to Interstate Honda. But I have to say, I love the smell of machine oil burning off a new engine in the morning. It smells like fun. The seat is supportive. I don't feel like it's driving me into the gas tank. It's a very thin seat, and I'm able to just put my feet right down. The pegs are much more substantial than the 700 or 750. The NC 750s. Anyway, nice pegs. Make sure I'm in first. So I'm in sport mode, and when I rip on this throttle, I can feel the front end come up a little bit. So if you could turn off traction control, I'll bet you can do some wheelies. Alright, this bike's a lot more fun than an NC700. It has some git. So here's my thoughts on the TransAlp, and this is not the one I just rode because that one's going out for a test ride immediately. The guy was waiting for me to bring it back, in fact. He's over there. So the TransAlp, here's the things I love about it. It's very nimble. It's got a 21-inch wheel that feels like a 19. Now, if you've ever ridden an Africa Twin, you know that with their 21, I love Jake brakes on trucks, doesn't everybody? Make sure you use it twice. Good measure. I'm leaving that in there. Every semi-truck driver will go, yeah. As I was saying, if you've ridden an Africa Twin, plenty of power, or enough anyway, but when you go to turn them on pavement, it takes a little bit of oomph, right? I don't find that to be the problem with the TransAlp. The 21 felt like a 19 or even less to me. It was a great little tire on there. The TransAlp, as I stated, has grunt, and it has grunt at the higher end. You can rev it, which always makes for a bike that's more fun. It's more fun when you know you got more to rev than what you're actually using. unlike the road bikes, the NC700 and 750X. The 750X is of course a better bike than the 700, but with my 700, you're flipping through gears pretty fast, especially the DCT does it for you, which is what you want on a bike that you have to flip through gears pretty fast. The TransAlp, you can flip through gears fast if you want to, or don't, because it can rev a little higher, it feels. The only two downsides to a TransAlp, and one of those is very correctable, one is not. The one downside is that most of us guys that ride motorcycles start at 5'10" and go up. So we need more wing coverage. But I'm sure Puig or somebody has a windshield for 150 bucks or whatever that'll clamp right on that and take care of that issue. The other only negative thing I can find with this bike is that it doesn't have cruise control, as I had mentioned before. So there you got my wrap up. Put a taller windshield on it, give me a tail case, which they already gave me a bracket. So that's an easy fix. You can buy a bag from Amazon for nothing, practically, and throw a bag on it. The cruise control I can't do much about unless you want to put a throttle lock on it, which honestly I've got on several of my bikes and they, in a pinch, work fine. So this is a first ride review. I really didn't take it very far. If you want more information, I would subscribe to Big Rock Moto if I were you, to see how he handles it off on dirt. That guy typically buys the bikes, and he's the authority, I think, on bike reviews. You can also watch Nothing to Prove. I love that guy too. He's in Germany. He's very thorough on his reviews. This is just a first ride for me, and I hope you got something out of it, but that's my personal impressions on the Honda TransAlp, and thank you for watching.